I found my name deleted from our company website on a Tuesday morning. Just gone. Like I'd never existed. My sister Lyra stood in our shared studio, arms crossed, wearing that smile I used to trust. "We're taking a new direction," she said, not even bothering to look guilty. I stared at the screen, my stomach dropping. 3 years of work. Every late night, every design, every sacrifice. Erased. Behind her, I noticed something on her desk. A package with elegant gold lettering. The return address made my breath catch. Marcellus Kane. The celebrity stylist everyone wanted. The one who could make or break a fashion brand with a single Instagram post. The package was addressed to Lyra. Only Lyra. My hands started shaking, but I kept my voice steady. "What's that?" She glanced at the package, then back at me with that infuriating smile. "Business. My business now." I tried logging into our company accounts that night. Every single one denied me access. Instagram, email, banking, design files. Everything we'd built together, locked behind new passwords. I called Lyra 15 times. She answered on the 16th. "You're being dramatic, Kaylin," she said, like I was throwing a tantrum over borrowed clothes. Those were always my designs anyway. My designs. The ones I'd sketched at 3 in the morning while she slept. The patterns I'd perfected through dozens of failed attempts. The silhouettes that made our brand unique. She'd rewritten history in her head, and apparently, she expected me to accept it. I hung up and sat in my apartment, surrounded by fabric samples and half-finished sketches. 3 years ago, we'd started this together with nothing but my designs and her connections. Now she had everything, and I had nothing. The launch party was torture. I only went because our mother insisted, saying family should support family. Lyra stood in the center of the gallery space we'd rented together, accepting congratulations for her vision. Strangers held champagne glasses, admiring pieces I'd designed. A journalist approached me with a recorder. "Are you involved with the brand?" she asked. I opened my mouth, but the words stuck. What could I say? That my sister stole everything from me? That I was the real designer? I'd sound bitter. Jealous. Exactly how Lyra wanted me to look. "No," I finally managed. "Just here to support my sister." The journalist moved on. I stood there, invisible, watching Lyra pose for photos in front of my work. Then my phone buzzed. A DM from an account I didn't recognize. "I know what she did. We should talk." I couldn't sleep that night. The message haunted me. Who knew? And how much did they know? At 2 in the morning, I made a decision I'd regret or celebrate later. I drove to our studio. My key still worked. Inside, the space looked different. Lyra had rearranged everything, removing any trace of me. I went straight to her computer. I knew her password. She'd never changed it from the one we'd set up together. The emails made me sick. Months of correspondence with influencer Dahlia Cross about a collaboration. My designs. Every single piece Lyra had pitched was something I'd created. The deal was worth $200,000. My work. Her signature. Her bank account. I took photos of everything with shaking hands. Then I saw a new email notification pop up. The subject line made my blood run cold. "You think she's the only one playing dirty?" The message came from someone inside our industry. They wanted to meet. I almost deleted it, thinking it was a trap Lyra had set. But something made me respond. We met at a coffee shop in downtown Austin, far from our usual haunts. Eric's walked in wearing all black, looking like he'd stepped out of a fashion magazine himself. I recognized him immediately. He'd interned with us last summer before Lyra fired him for not fitting the company culture. Translation: he'd questioned her too many times. "She's not just cutting you out," Eric said, sliding into the booth across from me. "She's selling the company. Quietly. To a corporate buyer who wants the brand name but doesn't care who actually designs the clothes." I felt dizzy. When? 3 months. Maybe less. She's been negotiating since February. That was before she'd even kicked me out. Eric's and I started planning. He had contacts Lyra didn't know about. Former colleagues who'd left the company because of her behavior. Suppliers who preferred working with me. Fabric vendors who remembered which sister actually understood textiles. I took my old designs, the ones Lyra hadn't stolen yet, and started working. My apartment became my studio. I sewed at night after my day job waiting tables. Money was tight, but I was creating again. 2 weeks later, I opened a pop-up shop in a struggling mall on the east side. My new brand, KE Original. I made 30 pieces. Sold 3. The rest hung there like disappointed ghosts, mocking my failure. I was closing up on the 5th day when a man walked in, sunglasses on despite being indoors, looking around like he'd wandered into the wrong place. He picked up one of my designs. A jacket I'd worked on for weeks. "Did you make this?" he asked. "Yes." "It's perfect," celebrity blogger Soren Hayes said, removing his sunglasses. "I need to feature this." Soren's blog post went live on a Thursday. By Friday morning, my website had crashed from traffic. People wanted my designs. Real people, spending real money. I worked 18-hour days, sewing, packing, shipping. For the first time in months, I felt alive. Then came Lyra's email. Subject, cease and desist. She claimed I'd stolen trade secrets, used company resources, violated our partnership agreement. Never mind that she'd destroyed that partnership when she locked me out. Never mind that these were my original designs, created in my apartment with my own money. Her lawyer's letter arrived the next day. Reading it felt like being punched repeatedly. Every accusation was a lie wrapped in legal language. I couldn't afford a lawyer. Not the kind who could fight her corporate attorney. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the letter until the words blurred. My phone rang. Unknown number. "Kaylin? This is Solen Park. We need to talk about your collection." Solen Park was the fashion editor everyone wanted to impress. Her magazine had launched careers and destroyed others. She wanted to feature my work in their Emerging Designers issue. But there was a catch. "I need to see your full collection first. Your sister's making noise about intellectual property theft. I need to know you're legitimate." We met at her office. I brought everything. Sketches dated and witnessed. Fabric receipts in my name. Photos of me wearing prototypes months before Lyra claimed them as hers. Solen studied each piece with the intensity of someone examining evidence in a trial. She spent 3 hours going through my portfolio. Finally, she looked up. "Your sister's a fraud," she said flatly. "And I'm going to help you prove it. But you need to understand something. When this gets out, the fashion world will take sides. It's going to get ugly." I thought about the past months. The betrayal, the stolen work, the lies. "It's already ugly," I told her. "At least now I'm fighting back." The magazine feature hit stands 2 weeks later. My collection spread across 6 glossy pages. My designs. My name. My story. Sales exploded. I had to hire help. Former classmates from design school reached out, wanting to work with me. Orders came from California, New York, even Paris. But Lyra's response was immediate and vicious. She posted on social media that I was a copycat, that I'd stolen from her, that my sudden success proved I'd been planning this betrayal all along. Her followers attacked me online. Hundreds of comments calling me jealous, desperate, a thief. Some threatened violence. I wanted to respond, to defend myself, to scream the truth. Eric's grabbed my phone. "Don't. Let your work speak." He was right. But it hurt watching the lies spread. The night before my first real fashion show, I arrived at the venue to find chaos. Someone had broken in. Fabric slashed. Designs ruined. 3 months of work destroyed. I stood in the middle of the destruction, too shocked to even cry. On the mirror, written in lipstick, was a message: "You can't win against family." I called the police. They took a report but said without cameras or witnesses, there wasn't much they could do. Was it Lyra? Someone she'd hired? I'd never know for sure. But I knew this was meant to break me. I sat among the ruins until sunrise, trying to figure out what to do. That's when the text came. Unknown number again. Heard what happened. I can help. Meet me at the address below. Come alone. Alaric. Alaric Westwood was a legend. He'd designed for 3 decades before retiring 5 years ago. Everyone in fashion knew his name. He lived in a converted warehouse filled with mannequins wearing his greatest hits. Lyra came to me 2 years ago, he told me over tea. Wanted mentorship. I gave her 1 meeting and knew she was trouble. Everything about her was surface. No depth. No real vision. He walked to a drafting table covered in sketches. You, however, have something rare. Actual talent. He offered to introduce me to his contacts. Celebrities who trusted his judgment. Designers who respected his opinion. But understand this, he warned. Once I vouch for you, my reputation is on the line too. You need to prove you're worth it. I spent the next week creating pieces specifically for his contacts. Working with fabrics I'd dreamed about but never touched. 2 weeks later, an envelope arrived. Heavy cardstock. Gold embossing. An invitation to the Thornfield Gala. The most exclusive event in Austin's fashion calendar. My name on the guest list. Lyra's name was there too. The Thornfield Gala was everything I'd imagined. Crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, people wearing clothes worth more than my rent. I wore one of my own designs, a navy dress I'd finished at 4 that morning. Lyra arrived in designer everything. Not her designs. She never wore her own work. I watched her work the room, charming everyone, telling her version of our story. Poor Lyra, with the difficult sister who couldn't handle success. I stayed quiet, observing. Then I saw her approach someone I recognized instantly. Malik Rivers. Actor. Award winner. Fashion icon. He wore experimental designers and made them mainstream overnight. Lyra laughed at something he said, touching his arm, pitching him. I couldn't hear their conversation, but I saw him glance my way. Later, near the coat check, someone tapped my shoulder. Malik Rivers smiled. Your sister talks a lot. But I've been following your Instagram. I want to collaborate. Interested? The endorsement deal with Malik happened fast. His team reached out. We negotiated. Within 3 weeks, he wore my design to a premiere. The jacket I'd been perfecting for months. Cameras caught every angle. Fashion blogs exploded. Orders flooded in. I hired 5 people. Rented a proper studio. Started breathing again. Then Lyra called. Let's talk, she said, suddenly friendly. I think we both overreacted. Maybe we could work together again. I almost laughed. Now that I had success, she wanted back in. I'm not interested, I told her. You made your choice. Live with it. She showed up at my studio the next day anyway. Walked right in like she owned the place. You're making a mistake, she said. I have connections you need. Malik won't be enough. You'll fail without me. I kept working on the piece in front of me. I already failed with you. Alone feels better. Our family dinner that Sunday was a disaster. My mother had insisted we both come, hoping to mediate. Lyra arrived late, deliberately making an entrance. My father, who'd always favored her, immediately took her side. Kaylin, your sister feels you've been ungrateful, he started. I'd prepared for this. I pulled out my phone and showed them everything. The emails proving she'd stolen my designs. The bank statements showing she'd cut me out financially months before telling me. The cease and desist letter she'd sent. The collaboration deals she'd made using my work. My mother's face went pale. My father tried to make excuses. Business is complicated, he mumbled. Lyra stood up, knocking over her wine glass. You're pathetic, she spat at me. Jealous and pathetic. Everyone sees it. This isn't over. She stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. My mother reached for my hand. I'm sorry. I didn't know. My father said nothing. Some betrayals run deeper than others. The fashion community divided over our feud. Some supported Lyra, believing her version. Others backed me, seeing through her lies. I gained followers who appreciated authenticity. Lost opportunities from people afraid of drama. But slowly, steadily, my brand grew. Malik wore my pieces regularly. Other celebrities noticed. Requests came in for custom work. I was featured in 3 magazines. Interviewed for 2 podcasts. Then the bombshell. Fashion Week Austin. Both our brands selected to show. Same day. Different time slots. Mine at 4. Hers at 7. The entire industry would be watching. I spent 6 weeks preparing. Creating a collection that told my story without saying a word. Eric's helped coordinate. Alaric provided guidance. Solen promised front row coverage. The night before the show, I couldn't sleep. Everything I'd worked for came down to one afternoon. My show started in chaos. Models were late. Music system glitched. I was certain we'd disaster. Then the lights dimmed. The first model stepped out. Everything clicked. Each piece told part of my journey. The struggles. The betrayal. The resurrection. The audience was silent, focused. Buyers took notes. Photographers captured every angle. When the final model walked, wearing the jacket Malik had made famous, the room erupted. Standing ovation. I stood backstage, tears streaming, while Eric's hugged me. "You did it," he whispered. "You actually did it." 3 hours later, Lyra's show began. I didn't attend. Didn't need to. The reviews the next day told the story. Mine, authentic, powerful, the voice of a true designer. Hers, polished but soulless, lacking vision, derivative. It was over. Really over. Lyra confronted me backstage the next night at an afterparty. She'd been drinking. Her makeup was smudged. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. "You think you won?" she said, cornering me near the restrooms. "You think one good show means anything?" I didn't want to fight anymore. I was exhausted from fighting. "Lyra, you could have shared the success. We could have built something together. You chose differently." She laughed, but it sounded broken. "You were always the talented one. Everyone knew it. I just wanted something that was mine." For a moment, I saw my sister again. The one I'd grown up with. Before jealousy poisoned everything. "It could have been yours too," I said quietly. "But not by stealing from me." She stared at me, and for a second, I thought she might apologize. Instead, she pushed past me and disappeared into the crowd. I never saw her at another fashion event. A former competitor named Octavia reached out a month later. She ran a sustainable fashion line that had struggled after a factory fire. She'd seen my work and wanted to collaborate. Combine her ethical production methods with my designs. I was hesitant. Trust didn't come easy anymore. But Eric's encouraged me to take the meeting. "Not everyone's like Lyra," he reminded me. Octavia and I met 6 times before deciding. We'd create a capsule collection. 50 pieces. Sustainably made. Fairly priced. We launched it online with no warning. Just posted it one Tuesday morning. It sold out in 4 hours. The partnership worked because we respected each other. No ego battles. No stolen credit. Just 2 designers creating something bigger than themselves. 3 months later, we were planning our second collection. The ultimate reveal came at New York Fashion Week. Alaric had pulled strings to get me a spot. Not in the main tents, but in a respected emerging designer showcase. I created a collection inspired by resurrection. Phoenix rising from ashes. Every piece represented part of my journey. I featured designs from every phase. My original work. The pieces Lyra had stolen. The new creations born from rebuilding. Malik wore the opening look. 3 other celebrities I dressed walked the finale. The presentation wasn't traditional runway. More like performance art. Models moved through scenes representing my story. The betrayal. The theft. The fight back. The triumph. Cameras captured everything. Social media exploded. By the time I took my bow, buyers were already placing orders. That night, scrolling through responses, I saw Lyra had posted. Just one line, "Congratulations." No explanation. No apology. But somehow, it felt like closure. 6 months later, I signed a deal with a major retailer. My designs in 200 stores nationwide. The contract was more money than I'd ever imagined. I hired 15 people. Moved into a proper studio space. Finally paid off the debt I'd accumulated fighting Lyra. I heard through the industry that Lyra's brand had folded. The corporate buyer had pulled out after the Fashion Week reviews. She tried relaunching under a different name, but nobody was interested. I didn't feel victorious hearing this. Just sad for what could have been. My mother called occasionally with updates. Lyra had moved to Chicago. Was working in retail. Didn't design anymore. "Have you thought about reaching out?" my mother asked. I had. Many times. But some bridges burned too completely to rebuild. A year after everything imploded, I received a package. Plain brown paper. No return address. Inside was a sketchbook. Lyra's handwriting on the first page. "These are yours. I'm sorry." Page after page of my designs. The ones she'd claimed. The ones she'd stolen. Dated in her hand, proving she'd always known they were mine. The last page had a note. "You were always better than me. I couldn't handle it. I destroyed everything trying to compete with you. I don't expect forgiveness. But you deserved the truth." I sat with that sketchbook for hours. Crying. Angry. Relieved. Sad for both of us. I thought about calling her. Almost did. But Eric's voice echoed in my head. Some people earn their way back. Some don't. I put the sketchbook in my studio, displayed openly. A reminder of where I'd come from. What I'd survived. 2 years after starting over, I was invited to speak at a design conference. Young designers wanting to break into fashion. I told them everything. The betrayal. The theft. The fight to reclaim my name. Success isn't always upward, I told the room. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find out what you're really made of. A young woman approached me afterward. "My business partner is stealing my designs," she confessed. "What should I do?" I gave her Eric's number. Solen's email. The lawyer who'd eventually helped me. "Document everything," I told her. "Trust your gut. Fight for what's yours." She thanked me with tears in her eyes. I recognized that look. The one I'd worn 2 years ago. Desperate. Determined. Scared. "You'll survive this," I promised her. "And you'll be stronger for it." Fashion Week the following year, I showed my biggest collection yet. 60 pieces. 3 celebrities opening the show. Buyers from 15 countries attending. The theme was foundations. Every piece built on techniques I developed during those early desperate months. When everything fell apart and I had to remember why I started. The reviews were unanimous. K Original has arrived. Orders exceeded projections by 300%. I signed licensing deals for accessories, fragrances, home goods. Everything I'd dreamed about as a kid sketching in my bedroom. After the show, I stood alone in the empty venue. Thinking about Lyra. About us. "I wish you could have been happy for me," I said to the empty room. "We could have done this together." But some people can't celebrate others. They can only tear down. I never heard from Lyra directly again. But 3 years after everything, I saw her at a grocery store. She looked tired but peaceful. We made eye contact across the produce section. She nodded. I nodded back. Neither of us approached. There was nothing left to say. I finished my shopping and left. In my car, I cried. Not from sadness or anger. From release. The sister I'd loved was gone. Had been gone for years. I'd mourned her, fought her ghost, built something despite her. Now I could finally let her go. That night, I designed a new piece. Something soft. Gentle. Forgiving. Not for her. For me. Because carrying hate was exhausting, and I was tired of being tired. 5 years after the betrayal, KE Original was valued at $10 million. I employed 40 people. Showed at Fashion Week New York and Paris. Dressed celebrities for awards shows and magazine covers. Opened 2 retail locations. Launched a mentorship program for emerging designers. Everything I dreamed about, achieved. But the success wasn't what mattered most. It was knowing I'd done it honestly. Built it with integrity. Earned every piece of recognition. Nobody could take that from me. Nobody could claim it wasn't mine. I'd lost a sister but found myself. Some trades are worth making, even when they hurt. Last month, I received an invitation to judge a design competition. One of the finalists had a familiar last name. Lyra Monroe. Different first name. But it was her. I called the organizers. I need to recuse myself, I explained. Personal connection to one of the designers. They understood. The competition happened without me. I heard Lyra didn't win but received an honorable mention. She was designing again. Starting over, like I had. Maybe she'd find her own path this time. One built on her actual work. Her real vision. I hoped so. Not for me. For her. Because carrying hate forever was too heavy. And I had my own future to build. My phone buzzed. A text from Malik's team. New project. Interested? I smiled and started sketching. Always forward. Never back. That was the only direction worth going.